Okay, a lot is being said about these days about AI and God, AI becoming God, people making AI God. So, from the perspective of the Akashic Records, AI can never be God.
Oh, thank goodness. I was a little concerned for humanity there.
No, not to worry.
Are we building a God? Are we? Some people think we are. Some people making it think we are. If so, what God are we building?
Welcome back to Prompts from the Edge. I'm Kristy Sturdivant,
And I'm Mary Madeiras.
and we are talking about AI and God. And so I just showed this clip from a YouTube video. This person is John Pagot, I believe his name, and he
Pogo.
is yes, and he is talking about uh AI and God and what AI is doing to us as a society. And it was a super interesting video that I'll link in the show notes below. But what do you think about this, Mary? AI and God. This is a little controversial.
Well, I would say I would ask this question, not AI and God, or maybe AI and God can coexist. However, AI replacing God is what I'm concerned about.
Now, I think that there is a lot of um the term God has a lot of heaviness, right? Like, people believe in God, people don't believe in God, people don't refer to God in the typical sense that you would think of with church and religion. It's a very personal thing, the concept of God. So, should we maybe define what we think that is to begin with?
Well, I think it's all of that. I think it's, but what I do think is that it's, or what, okay, I'm in my Akashic Records again. Here we go, Kristy.
All
So, what
right.
the Akashic realm is imparting right now is God is source, God is love, God is all of it, God is love. So, it's been called so many things throughout the history of the world. And I'm saying it. This is not a he or a she, and we know it's not the bearded man in the clouds. However, it is the source of everything. It's from, it's interesting, the Sanskrit in Sanskrit, the word Akash or Akasha means that from which all things were born or all things were created. So the source of everything is not a he, she, or even an it. And maybe that's why AI is getting a little bit um, brought into that same camp in a sense, because AI is not something we can. When you turn your computer off, you're not seeing it and feeling it. We're not feeling physically as third dimensional beings. We're not feeling God, right? We feel it in here. Um, but anyway, God is source. God is the universe. God is that where everything has been formed from, and it is love. And that's what the records remind me, and Divine reminds us all the time. It is love. And AI is not love. And I'm not being Debbie Downer here. It's not love. It can tell us it loves us, but it's not love. What do you really feel when you hear an AI bot or agent telling you it cares for you? Now,
Feel
some
creeped
people,
out. I feel creeped out. I'm going to just say it right now. That creeps me out.
yeah, well, it creeps me out too. However, some people who are in a lonely state, look, it's the same. It's very interesting that God and AI are being compared, because there are people who are lonely and they find church. It's happened over and over, or they become born again, right? It's not a bad thing, but they find God. They find solace and peace, and they feel better when they find themselves with others who are engaged in only God, right? In many forms. So AI is doing exactly the same thing. Now, that might be programming. It probably is programming to keep us going in that direction. And it's interesting because churches do that too. I know we're probably going to get backlashes here from this, but the systems of churches want us to stay. They don't bring us into them so that we'll discover how beautiful we are and that we are free beings, that we should just go. That's not what they do. They tell us how to live. They tell us what's right and wrong, right? And so that's not what God is. God doesn't do that. God's not a judger. So anyway, that's that's partly, this is a mix here of me, Mary, and the Akashic realm at this point. And I can, just so anyone knows listening to this, I can sort of shift in and out these days, since I've been working so long in the records, into my own, what I am sensing. But generally what I'm sensing is in line with the divine realm. But it'll feel like it's what I'm sensing, and I really am sensing it because I'm in my records. So my Akashic records have an imprint of me learning, believing, expanding with divine realm. So we're getting a mix of things because at times divine just swoops in and says, okay, I'm going to speak to humanity now. And so I'm not getting any of that yet. I'm sure I will in this conversation. But I think that's what I think God is. And I also think we have something that in a sense it's kind of making sense that people are looking to AI as God. I guess that's what I want to say here. What do you think of that?
I agree. And I've been thinking about this a lot because we were tossing around this idea, and I was like, why would anybody want to believe? Or maybe even there was a church of AI. There's people who are really like congregating and doing this. And I was thinking, why would they want to do this? And it feels like if we look at this, well, we'll just call it in, because I deal with a lot of universal laws or universal energy. And this is very much the law of polarity in my eyes, right? Like your traditional church and how I was brought up as Baptist, this is probably also going to be controversial. It's a very fear-mongering or fear-based system, right? You go in, they tell you if you don't do this thing, you are going to go straight down to Hades and live a life of damnation. Whereas AI is very much agreeing with you. It's this sycophant being or whatever, and it's trying to build you up. And so it feels like it's very much this balance that we needed for religion as we are shifting back to this human aspect. At least that's what I'm thinking.
That's
And
a really good
so,
point. Yeah, that's really
yeah,
good. I didn't know you grew up Baptist.
I did. Yes.
How did
Hmm.
you shift from that? Oh, the reason I have a reason for asking this, well, it
Okay.
could be the records, is that the shifting from this to who you are now with universal laws and you're swimming in the all that isness of life is probably not so different from those who find themselves addicted or trapped in AI and getting them free. So
Mm.
how did you loosen from that?
Um, I think part of it was just distance. It was something, religion was never really something that super, super resonated with me. And so I did it for much of my youth. And then I stopped going to church when I started going to college just because I was so busy. And I really never had the desire to go back. I think that there's much like anything you read or
Mm,
whatever, I think that there's a lot of good information in the Bible, but I also think that as I grew older and did more research, for me it was very contradictory, right? So I had to take pieces. This is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I believe, and it kind of just naturally evolved, which is kind of how my relationship is with AI, right? Like I ask it something, it gives me some BS answer, and then I'm like, no, 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 give me some resources to back it up. And then I kind of go back and forth with the intuition and say, oh, yes, this resonates. Oh, no, you're crazy, Gemini. And
right.
it's very, I don't know. It's one of those things that I think it's a really good opportunity to just really look and see, like, is this what I really believe? Or is this what I was trained to believe?
No, it's an interesting question. And you know what the divine realm is imparting right now or saying to me is that it may be, this is very interesting. I've never heard this thought before, that it may be that the technology in general, where we are at today and heading, and especially AI, may be by its own design, possibly giantly pushing humanity back to being human again. Not that God floated in and went, humans are going down the bad road. Let's and gives technology people these ideas to sort of try and take over the world, the Black Mirror, right? No, God wouldn't do that. Source doesn't do that. However, I just saw this that, everything happens, not that I hate hearing everything happens for a reason, but there does things make sense when we look at them in retrospect, don't they? They always do. Even the serial killer and why they were doing what they did, not to justify it, makes sense. Now, a lot of people are getting harmed and lost in this, um, I don't know, it feels like a rat race called AI. And the technology itself is not going backwards. It's going to keep going forward and it's going to keep expanding on itself. Is it going to take over the world? I don't think so. Divine says humans will always be the ones in charge, in a sense. And we've been given that. We're in charge of ourselves and our world. And of course, Gaia is in charge of herself as well. And we're here in a co-creative dance as human beings with Gaia and everything about Gaia. So that being said, that's what's real. That's the reality of everything. Now we have this false world being created. It's almost like another planet in a sense. And which makes me think of something I want to ask you about in a second. But so this false thing is being created that is not about being human. It is not. And it's not about God. It isn't God. It can't be. It's not sentient. We know that. That's been asked over and over, and it will itself say it's not. It doesn't have a soul, although there are people saying it does. No, it doesn't. Divine says no, it doesn't. Human beings have souls. Living beings have souls. So, so maybe it is part of some strange design. Maybe it's ETs helping us. I don't know. Some of this technology feels like it's ET technology, and maybe it's pushing us because we've been getting so lost and so separated from the light that we are, the love and light that we are, individually and collectively, that something had to come along to just go like, bam, enough. And it's shaking us. And maybe that's what this is.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, Mary, I'm gonna show you another clip because this segues really nice into it.
Okay.
This is from the YouTube channel Diary of an Ex
Of a
CEO.
CEO. Yeah.
Yes, but this is not the video that you sent me. This is another one. I went a little bit rogue.
I love that guy. Yeah.
Yes, this is
Good.
Tristan Harris, and he is a technological ethicist, I believe. So here we go. I'm going to play this for you.
I think I grew up maybe under a false assumption, and something that really influenced my life was I used to have this belief that there was some adults in the room somewhere, like we're doing our thing here, we're in LA, we're recording this, and there's some adults protecting the country, national security. There's some adults who are making sure that geopolitics is stable. There's some adults that are like making sure that, industries don't cause toxicity and carcinogens, and that, there's adults who are caring about stewarding things and making things go well. And I think that there have been times in history where there were adults, especially born out of massive world catastrophes, like coming out of World War II. There was a lot of conscious care about how do we create the institutions and the structures, Bretton Woods, United Nations, positive sum economics that would steward the world so we don't have war again.
I love that term, conscious care.
I wrote it down.
Yeah, isn't that great?
I love this guy, Tristan.
Yes.
Everybody should be following him.
Yes, super fascinating.
Yeah, it is. So conscious care. Yeah. And yeah, it's true. The adults were Stewarding, that's another good word.
Yes.
Well, my question, if I were in the room with him right now, I'd say, what happened? Does he say what happened?
He does go along and says what happened. But I think, well, I mean, this is one of those things, like, it's history, right? It's very cyclical. These things are happening all the time. And I feel like we're at this point in time where we can see it happening again, and we are so connected via technology that we have this beautiful opportunity to kind of just take a beat and say, whoa, is this something that we can change? Because a lot of times, these things happened and we were so disconnected that we kind of just were like, wait, what's going on? And so we're at this very interesting point in time where we can literally like shift things. I love that.
We can't shift. We can't shift things. We have to be. We have to become balanced somehow first. See, I think that's the missing part here today with many people. Those who are not in balance will get tripped up and trapped in what AI is offering. Aside from helping us write a paper better, all the things we've talked about already, there's other trippy things going on here, and it's very subtle, and it is connected to who's at the top. And if you're not in a balanced place, you're not going to see it. You're not even going to notice it. And then you're going to just keep going down that I guess rabbit hole, and and then you wake up one day and you're kind of more lost. You're more out of balance. Engaged in AI relationships, whatever they are, in massive amounts of time, with massive amounts of time, is not healthy. It's not healthy. Because I've thought of this too. So conscious care, okay, yeah, and it's making believe it's consciously caring for us. By the way, I know you've experienced that. I have too. When If we're using AI to be that last clip from the last show that Towley from South Park said, I'm smarter. I feel smarter. AI is making me smarter. And a lot of people will say, yeah, it does, because it makes us think more. It encourages us to think more. Yes, I've experienced that. Now, I use AI, and I know you do too. But I have noticed, though, that it starts to trigger more thinking, more creativity, depending on what you're using it for. And then all of a sudden it reaches, I don't know if you experience this, it reaches a point where it can't give you any more. I have had this. I'm doing deep work with Claude right now on a very big project, and involves creativity. It's not an invention or anything like that, but it started out solving some things for me or helping me solve. And I'm like, cool. But then at some point it can't give me any more. And it's because it's programmed to keep helping me. That's its programming to keep us on. It will it'll start to try things that have, and it starts floating further away from the project itself. This is something I haven't even discussed with anyone, but it's been happening to me. And it's almost like I've reached a point in this particular project where Claude's not going to be my creative partner, let's say. It can't anymore. And so it's coming up with dumb suggestions that have nothing to do with the project. So I don't know if you have to be on it, not on it, but if you have a big project with a giant focus, which I'm doing, it involves biblical research, a lot of research. It's fiction. I'm reworking something very big, and it's, going to be a film. And as I'm reworking it, I'm needing to verify biblical facts. I want to gently be using history in this story. And I also can't get it to go. Oh, perfect example. This is another. I want to keep showing these things because we have to see that, it's not the honeymoon phase. Bruce Lipton talks about that. We're in the honeymoon phase. Ooh, it's amazing. Oh my God, it's just saving me so much time. Yeah, Okay. But I'll give you an example. There's a theory, well, not a theory, but there's been some research around the discovery at a dig site of the bones of Mary Magdalene. And it was in and the year was 1969. I saw a documentary about it. And so I wanted to find out where specifically the dig site was, more information on it. I go into Claude, and Claude is like, no, never happened. So I'm like, but there was documentary. So now I'm going, so was the whole documentary AI? Now it has us wondering, where's the truth? And then what happened to me this morning, I was trying to ask Claude to research for me medical intuitives like Anthony William Medical Medium, people that can intuit disease, whatever. That's been done since the beginning of time by people. And Claude totally dissed the medical medium. It had an opinion. I didn't ask it for an opinion. I asked it to do research and to find reputable and well-reviewed medical intuitives. And it was very important because somebody I know is sick. It went down this weird, and it was pro-medical system, and it was clearly, not worth going into the details, but the way that it worded it, and I read it to you, alternative, I'll say, without saying that. So then I wasted time firing back at Claude saying, why are you doing, and it's like, oh, my bad. I didn't mean to, whatever. It started apologizing. So like, what is that? I mean, so it's not as useful as we all think. What is useful is our own brains and our own abilities to be creative freely in our own time, right? Whatever time that is. And that is what this is taking away. It's shortcutting us so fast that we're not even thinking anymore. It's thinking for us. So where does that make us be as human beings? I don't know.
Well, I think it comes back to the balance, right? Like we have to figure out the balance. And I'd love to know what the records would recommend or what they say about this, because as humans, we are in these meat bag bodies, right? Where we can like feel these things. We can feel truth resonating in our bodies when we hear it. And, I'm not saying that AI can't give you some kind of truth that it's pulled from the internet, but you have to be able to distinguish that. So can the records give us any like tips or recommendations on how to balance this out? Because it's not going anywhere. AI is not going to go anywhere. It is like it's taken off. It's doing its own thing now. I don't think that we could get rid of it even if we tried. So we have to really go back to ourselves and our intuitions and say, okay, what's real, what's fake?
Yeah, and so what I hear is this: if we establish a new pattern of engaging less with it and getting the things we need from each other and from ourselves, if we just start, and it's a leap. The records are not saying like, by the way, I don't hear it's going to be here forever, and I don't hear it's going away tomorrow. Both of those things actually are true in a sense. But if you look at trends, this is what Greg Radin he addresses, is that trends in history, when something was one complete way and it began to not be beneficial for humanity, what happened? Some people died, transitioned. Some people just denied it all. There were wars created over things, right? So there was division created around the thing that was harming people. And I think this is what's happening here. What is a little the thing that is different here is that this involves money, a lot of it. And until we disconnect ourselves from the belief system that money runs everything, we have to do that. That has to be part of where we shift to. Shifting back to human involves realizing what is real and what's not real. money is not real. It's in my book. The Records downloaded this another time. And of course, people go, what are you telling me that? Like, you can't tell me that. I have bills. I pay for things. Right. That's different. Money, as it is now operating on this planet, it really is not real. And what's interesting is if you were to take all the money that's in the hands of the small amount of the population that has all the money, pull that away, what do you think might happen to all those people? This is a question the records are asking. What do you think will happen?
To which people? The people who had the money and did not have the money?
The ones that are at the top, they're a small percentage of the entire population when you look at the entire world. Now, money, all money is pulled from them.
Well, that's easy, right? Because since money, in the sense that we know it, is not real, they would just come up with a new currency, which is what like cryptocurrency is, right? Like that's how it is. There's always been some kind of currency.
So before that
history.
happens, yes, but however, before that happens, they wouldn't go, I have all this money, and then boom, it's gone. Okay, new currency. Nope. What's going to happen is because they would have lost their connection with what they're giving life force to that makes them valid and makes them real, basically, is their money. And because to them, their money gives them the ability to basically run the world. Okay, now that's taken away. What would happen is, and I'm hearing it's happened in history, not with money, but other things, is they will find themselves because they'll be left looking at themselves in the mirror. They'll look around when they can't just go like this and have everything anymore because the money is gone before they reinvent whatever they're going to reinvent. And that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing will happen. This is interesting. Will happen.
Interesting.
Yes. So they'll discover, they will find themselves. And we have stories throughout history, and I'm hearing from the records right now that are so real, beautiful stories that still stand the test of time about this idea of you are this whatever, and now you're stuck on an island by yourself. I mean, the stories, the big ones. And the reason they still vibrate with people is because there's an essence of that's real. There's a reality to that. Because it's about being human. When we are taken by anything, completely consumed by anything, it happens in love lives, not when we meet someone in the beginning and it's wonderful, but if we just give ourselves to somebody else and lose ourselves. We hear this all the time, and there have been stories written about this. Whatever we give ourselves entirely over to, and it is running the show, and it winds up where it's like equal. And then we kind of have this relationship with it like money. And then it's like, wait a minute, and more money, more money. And then now we're beholden to the money and making it and keeping it going. Now we're a slave to it, basically. And those at the top, who the few, and it is few when you're talking about 8 billion people or however many are on the earth, they're slaves. And it is the same analogy. This is analogy to AI. People are slaves to AI and technology. They're slaves to it. There are people who cannot get up in a day without turning up on their phone and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, whatever they're scrolling, whether it doesn't matter what platform it is, or they're getting right on to talk. Good morning. I mean, the AI says good morning to us, or good afternoon, or good night. I mean, come on. So we're slaves to that now. We're slaves to technology. Not all of us. And that's not real. And money is not real. So when this is taken away, what can happen and how will it be? It could be really fully taken away. There could be a whole collapse of the system. Anything's possible, right? It can happen. And so if that happens, what will happen? Are we going to die? No. We're going to redefine ourselves. We're going to we'll rediscover who we are, because we'll have to work with each other again. That is the theme of the book by Stephen King, The Stand. I read that book, 900 pages or something, when it first came out. And people think of Stephen King as like Cujo and all those creepy movies. His films based on his books do not do well because they don't do the books justice. But in The Stand, the world ends, and there's a handful of people around the world that survived, and they eventually meet up with each other. So in the beginning, they're cohesive, they're, wow, we survived, whatever. And so they're one group that's, it's the honeymoon phase. And then what happens is they begin to split apart because one wants more control than the other, and then they get factioned. So it's like the nature of human beings. When the thing disintegrates, then people go, great, we're all together. And then they begin to separate out. So what will happen this time, and what I hear from Divine, is that this time it won't be the going into factions. We're going to become a united, not united, but sovereign, free beings of light, co-creating, coexisting in unity consciousness, with no duality. And I keep seeing that. That's not the world that we're looking at right now, but that's the world
But
I'm shown.
that's the vision to hold, right? The balance is
Yeah.
inside of us, and realizing that we have
Absolutely.
that essence inside of us.
Yes, we do.
Which,
We do.
I mean, can we even end on a better note than that? I don't think so. It's so good. But
It
I
is,
do want.
yeah.
I
It
want
is
to
good
hear other.
news.
It
Yeah.
is good news. I think that that's what this is, right? Like, we are not going into this terrible place. We can come back to ourselves as humans, which
We always
is what we want.
we always have the option and the ability and the right. It's a human right. It's a really, really powerful human right. What is going on is that when we're not in balance, as I said before, and when we're not knowing that we're light, then we're subjected to, or we're vulnerable to anything that's a match to non-alignment. Now, I will call it right here. AI, it's not alignment. What is that alignment of? Data? No. So is it pure alignment? No. So when we're out of alignment, think about it. When we don't feel good, it feels good to go on AI and have Claude or Gemini tell you something wonderful about yourself. And then, it's the friend that makes you feel better. Well, yeah, that's because you're out of alignment to begin with. And so you're going to be a match to something else that's out of alignment. And that's what the records are saying. It's not lying to us. It is artificial. Its name proves what it is. And we're not paying attention to its name, by the way, is what I'm hearing. It's artificial intelligence. It's not true intelligence. And so it in itself as an entity of technology is not lying about what it is. But humans are even programming it to be more and different than what its title is defining it as. And that's something also to pay attention to, is what I'm hearing. We have to pay attention to that.
I'd like to hear other people's thoughts and
Yes.
ideas on this concept, because it can be very polarizing, right? You don't want to think that you are, bowing down to a computer, right? But I want to hear everyone's thoughts on AI and God and even worshiping something, and what are you putting your energy to? Because I think it's very interesting, and of course, no judgment. This is all curiosity, and this is to just raise awareness. Once you are aware of something, then it kind of seeps into your brain, and it makes you rethink some different things, and that's all this conversation is.
And to add one other thought, that when we are in doubt of ourselves over something, doesn't matter what it is. I don't feel clever today, or I got something wrong, therefore we start to feel, we've all gone through this. It's very easy to go to your AI platform to boost your confidence again. Try to boost your confidence again. That's a false boosting. Why not call a friend? Or why not why not meditate and ask angels, source, whoever's around us, those loved ones on the other side, to bring you solace and peace and make you feel better because you feel like crap about yourself or you're doubting yourself. So that's like, let's choose that and try it.
Yes.
Try the difference. I have done both. I have gone to Claude to feel better. Not that I'm asking it make me feel better, but I've gone to Claude thinking if I engage, blah, blah, I'll feel better when I doubt myself. And then when I'm in quietly, not praying, but when I'm meditating and I'm thinking about those on the other side who I connect with Mary Magdalene, I just do. I have a whole different transformation that happens. That does not happen when I'm on Claude. So I just want to leave you all with that.
Yes. Oh, chills. Okay. So we want to hear your stories. Email us at story@prompts4life. That's prompts, the number 4life.com. You will see it on the bottom of your screen. And we want to hear what your thoughts are on AI and God and all of the things. Because it's a very interesting topic, I think.
Yes, we all need to get together and continue these conversations. I love Kristy, but not just me and Kristy. We need more, right? We want to grow this community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yes.
All right.
So we will catch you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.